What's going on, everybody? Lil Chris here to bring you another APA 8-Ball League match of mine. And this match comes from the Fall 2020 session, where on each of my breaks, I'm trying to make the 8-Ball on the break for the win. Now, for those that might be new to my channel, what I like to do with these videos is commentate what I must have been thinking about during the course of each rack as I try to plan a run out or when I'm going to play defensively. And then with the cue ball diagram up above, I show you where I'm hitting at on the cue ball for each and every shot. Now, in this matchup here, I'm playing up against a skill level 6, so this is going to be a race to 5-4. My 5 to their 4. So let's see how I do. All right, so for the first rack, my opponent's going to be breaking because he won the coin flip. You can see he's going to be breaking more from the middle of the table, so let's see how this first rack goes. Okay, he made the 7 ball on the break, and it looks like that's it, so he's going to be solids while I'll be stripes. Now, if I'm my opponent, the first thing I'm thinking about is what am I going to do with the 1 ball and the 2 ball, because that looks to be the troubled area. But given where the cue ball is at, it's looking like the opening shot is going to be the 5 ball in the lower left corner pocket. And it is, so let's see how he plays it. Okay, so he stops the cue ball, so he must be playing the 3 ball next into the right side pocket. Personally, I think I would have allowed it to roll forward a little bit just so I can play the 6 ball in the upper left corner pocket, possibly opening it for the 2 and the 1. 3 ball falls, he's able to get a little bump on the 9 ball, which frees up the 8 ball, so if he's able to run the table, the 8 ball will have a pocket or 2. But now it's looking like he's going to have to bank the 6 ball into the right side pocket. So now I'm really starting to wonder how is he going to deal with the 1 and the 2. But he barely misses the 6 ball bank, and even if he would have made it, it looks like he would have a cut shot on the 4 ball to the lower left corner pocket. So now I'm at the table, and with that 9 ball being freed from the 8 ball, I have no troubled spots on the table. So as long as I can maintain my cue ball control, I should be in good shape. And with this, my opening shot is going to be the 14 ball into the lower left corner pocket. And all I have is just some topspin on the cue ball because I'm going to have the cue ball come off of the side rail and back out for position on the 10 to go into the same pocket. And then from here, I do have a slight angle. So I just push the cue ball again with a little bit of topspin this time over to the side rail and back out for the 11. But I hit it a little too hard because you can see I'm on the right side of the 11. I'd rather be on the left side so that way I can just stun the cue ball back out to the middle of the table. Because now, with some top spin and a little bit of left spin, I'm going to thread between the 1 and the 2 and then come back towards the middle of the table. This allows me to have position on the 15 ball. And from here, with top right spin, I'm going to play the cue ball 3 rails around to reposition back onto the 13 ball. And if you haven't guessed by now, the 9 ball is going to be the last ball that I use to get position on the 8. So what I'm going to do right here is check to see where I would like to be in order to shoot the 12 ball so that I can naturally get position for the 9 ball. And where you saw me place my hand, from the 13, I'm just going to draw off of it over to the side rail and then back out and be where I would like to be for position on the 12. This way I can just stun off of the 12 ball over towards the left side pocket, which will give me the shot that I want for the 9 ball. And then with the angle that I have on the 9 ball, with some topspin and a little bit of left spin, I can play the cue ball over to the short rail and then back out for position on the 8 to go into the same pocket. And there's the first rack to me, and I'm up 1-0. Now I'm up to break for rack 2, and as I mentioned before, I'm always trying to make the 8 ball on the break. So I'm going to be hitting the ball that's in the second row, which is the 11 ball for this rack. And I'll have bottom spin with a touch of right spin on the cue ball so that I can draw the cue ball over to the left side rail and then have the cue ball come back and hit the rack again. And I'm hoping that the 8 ball will track towards the right side pocket. But more times than not, I usually see another ball kick the 8 ball towards the left side pocket. But let's see what happens on this rack. So if you were able to see, the 8 ball immediately tries to go to the left, but the cue ball does come back and hit the rack again, sending it to the right. But then a bunch of balls just kick it around and it just lands right in the middle of the table. Now, I did make both solids and stripes, which was to my benefit considering where the cue ball landed. I do have a shot for the 3 ball to the right side pocket, but because of how close the cue ball is to the 3 ball, I don't choose solids because I don't want to risk double hitting the cue ball. So I have to choose stripes. And before I shoot the 11 ball, which is the only ball I can access, you can see I'm checking to make sure that every stripe can go to a pocket. You just saw me look at the 9 ball to see if it can go past the 1 ball into the corner pocket, and it can. And then here, I'm going to come all the way around and look at the 13 ball to see if it passes by the 7 ball, and it can't. So the 13 ball will end up being my trouble spot that I'm going to want to try to deal with at some point in time. So with my opening shot here, I figured I can just play bottom spin on the cue ball and just draw the cue ball back towards the middle of the table to try to play position for the 14 ball. But I don't hit it hard enough. But then I realized, okay, I have a backup here. I can actually now try to play the 12 ball to the bottom right corner pocket, and with top right spin, I believe, have the cue ball try to come 2 rails to break out the 13 ball, leaving my 14 ball as a potential backup shot. In case some of y'all are wondering, well, you could still shoot the 14, but I don't want to just because I have an opportunity to break out the 13. What I miss, right? So if we look and see where the cue ball's at now, I can try again with the 10 ball, but I'm also in the perfect position to deal with the 9 ball. So I can try to squeeze it past the 1 ball, and since I'm doing such a finesse shot here, I don't put any side spin on the cue ball. This is just a little bit of top spin since I'm bridging over the 10 ball and just try to gently squeeze it past the 1 ball. And I'm successful. And making sure that I'm still at the good angle to try to try to be able to break out my 13 ball. So what you see me do here is come around and see where I actually want to break it out, or just land back there. But I actually do try to break it out, but I use the wrong spin on the cue ball. Because if you look at my cue, I'm a little bit more towards the center, and I have some left spin, when I actually should have been above center. Because what ends up happening is I run into the 7 ball and make the position on the 13 worse, instead of trying to come around the 7 and kick the 13 from behind back down towards the middle of the table, or at least where the 14 ball's at. So I don't have a shot on the 13. I have to shoot the 14. Not only do I have to shoot the 14, I also have to make sure that I break out the 13 ball because it can't go anywhere with that 3 ball. So what you see me try to do here is I'm going to bank the 14 ball into the right side pocket. So you're about to see me measure up like how I do in my 1 rail banks and kicks video. Now, the tricky part is, since I'm going to be banking the 14 ball to my right, cue ball is going to go off to the left. So I have to make sure that I avoid the scratch. So I have bottom spin and a little bit of left spin. Now watch the reaction of the cue ball. See, I made the bank shot, but I certainly did not think I had so much left spin on the cue ball that I totally reversed the outbound angle of the cue ball off of the rail. I thought the left spin would have just killed it enough to where it can track up table along the left side rail and run into the 3 and the 13. So I clearly had too much left spin on the cue ball. I probably just actually didn't need to use any at all and just let the draw do the work for me. So from here, though, the only shot I see if I want to try to continue a run is to try to cross bank the 13 ball into the right side pocket, because there is a small path that I can actually hit. So all I have here is top spin on the cue ball to just cut past the 13. The cue ball will even hit the 3 ball afterwards. But I overcut the 13 ball. It just banks straight across, bumps the 2 ball in the open, and then just ties up next to the 8. Now my opponent gets a shot at the table. Let's see what he does. So it looks like he's going to shoot the 7 ball into the bottom right corner pocket. Just gently rolls it in and plays position for the 3 ball. So now, if anything, probably should just play some sort of a stop shot. A little bit of second guessing there. Ooh, and he undercut the 3-ball. So had the 3-ball missed on what would be the bottom side of the corner pocket, that would be an overcut. He missed and hit the side rail, so that's an undercut. But it doesn't really matter with my 13-ball tied up next to the 8. I can't do anything. I can't risk like anything because I don't want a whole lot of movement out of that 8-ball and it possibly falling and I lose the rack. So I elect to play a defensive shot here. All I end up doing with just a little bit of topspin, so that way the cue ball is automatically rolling right after contact, is just clip the 13 ball on my left side and then send the cue ball up table towards the upper left corner pocket. That way there's at least some distance between the cue ball and my opponent's balls. So now at least the 13 ball is freed from the 8 ball. It's kind of tied up with the 2 ball, but it does have a pocket, which is the upper right corner pocket, and even the left side pocket and the bottom left. But I have to hope that my opponent gives me a shot at it. So it looks like he's going to be going for the 5 ball. Tries to play it in the bottom right corner pocket. Now he broke out my 13 ball. But at least I now can't shoot it in the bottom left corner pocket because the 3 ball is in the way. So I'm sitting here looking, and then right there I just glanced to see how thin of a cut shot it would be to try to cut that 13 ball to the left side pocket. And it's actually pretty thin. And it was thin enough to where I thought that if I put bottom spin on the cue ball is going to run into the 2 ball, and I'm going to try to finesse this shot. So if I do hit the 2 ball, then I should have position for the 8 ball to go into the upper left corner pocket. Watch what happens. I end up undercutting the ball, and I completely avoid the 2 ball and scratch. So I actually think had I made it, I probably would have had a little billiard off of the 2 ball and had the position that I was looking for the 8. But now with 3 balls left on the table and my opponent has ball in hand, I'm looking to be in a lot of trouble. So it's looking like he's going to play the 5 ball into the upper right corner pocket. What ball is going to be next? Okay, so he's going to play the 2 in the side pocket, but that means the cue ball is coming down towards the bottom rail, which means he's either going to shoot the 3 ball into the left side pocket or the top left corner pocket. And judging where the cue ball lands, it's going to be the top left corner pocket. So will he try to hold position for the 8 ball in the upper right corner pocket? Not with a center ball hit. Okay, so the cue ball just drags up, and now the 8 ball should be going into the bottom left corner pocket, since my 13 ball does block the left side pocket. Oh, and I forgot, in case anybody's wondering why we're not marking where we're going to put the 8 ball, it's because we both agreed that we can just call it. Normally in an APA match, when you're shooting the 8 ball, you do have to mark the pocket that you're going to make it in with some sort of personal object. Oh, but my opponent undercuts the ball and just leaves me perfect for the 13 ball in the side pocket. I actually got off a little lucky on this rack. All I do here is just roll the cue ball into the 13, so the 13 just gently rolls into the side pocket, and I'm automatically set up for the 8 ball into the lower left corner pocket. And I'm up 2-0. Now with rack 3, let's see how this break goes. So I lose control of the cue ball there. You can kind of see it hop off the table, and it stays on the table at least. But we also saw the 5 ball, which was the corner ball of the rack, go straight into the top right corner pocket, so I'm going to be solids. And if you look and see where the cue ball is at, I don't really have an opening shot. I mean, I can see the 4 ball, but I can't really play it anywhere. I can obviously hit the 7 ball, but it can't go anywhere because the 3 ball is blocking it. And I think I can possibly play a 2-6 combination, and I can't see the 1 ball because the 7 ball is blocking me. But I'm pretty notorious for coming up with a shot when there doesn't appear to be one. So what you're actually going to see me try to do is I'm going to try to carom the 7 ball off of the 3 ball to go into the left side pocket. So I'm kind of looking at it right now as I'm still really trying to decide, is that what I want to do, even though it is what I'm going to do. So right there, there's the measurement I go for to see how I need to hit the 3 ball to try to carom it off of the, or carom the 7 off of the 3 ball to go into the side pocket. You can see how I clipped the 14 ball, and clipping the 14 ball is not the reason that I missed. I'm actually not supposed to touch the 14 ball at all. So what that tells me was that I hit the 7 ball too thick into the 3 ball. Had I cut it off the 3 ball a little bit thinner, it would have not touched the 14 ball and might have had a better chance at going into the side pocket. So now with my opponent with stripes, he starts off by banking the 13 ball into the right side pocket, and that opens up his 11 and 14 ball. That was an awesome shot. Probably plays the 11 ball into the top left corner pocket and gets positioned for the 15 ball. Should see very similar movement here as he gets positioned for the 14 ball in the top left corner pocket. It looks like he was waiting for the player on the next table to take their shot. So now he plays the 14 ball into the top left corner pocket. Looks like he's going to come back towards the middle of the table for position on the 9 ball, just like so. 9 ball should be going into the bottom right corner pocket. We can see with the angle that he's got, he's probably going to pull the cue ball over to the side rail and back out. That is what he does. Actually gets a lucky carom off of the 6 ball. I don't think he meant to actually touch the 6 ball, but he does have position for what I believe to be the 12 ball. Just rolls that into the bottom left. Has good position for the 10 ball in the bottom right. He's going to want the cue ball to come off the short rail and just kind of roll its way up towards the middle of the table, and then he has position for the 8 to go into the top left corner pocket. Oh no, but the cue ball gets away from him and he hides himself behind my 6 ball. Oh man. So here's another rack where I got a little lucky. Let's see what he does to be able to hit the 8 ball. And if y'all been paying attention, he's a lefty. So I think the 1 rail kick shot to the short rail is actually out of his reach unless he's ambidextrous and he can play right-handed. Because this would be ideal to do a 1 rail kick shot if you're right-handed. Not so much if you're left-handed. That looked like he was glancing at the 2 rail. Yeah, so he's calling it in that corner pocket. Is he gonna stretch for a 1 rail? Oh, it looks like we have a timeout. I believe this is the team captain, and I actually agree with that advice. She's advising him to go 2 rails, go into the short rail, and then come off the side rail to try to track towards the 8 ball to go into the upper left corner pocket. Considering that he's a left-handed player, I think this is actually a better shot for him to try. Me, as a right-handed player, I would be trying to go for the 1 rail kick shot off of the short rail. Here we go. Oh, but he misses the 8 ball and gives me ball in hand. Moves my 4 ball a little bit, which really doesn't matter because I don't have any balls that are cluttered up. So I'm in really good shape here. Now, what kind of pattern would y'all play here? Because you can almost do any pattern that you want. But you can see here, I'm going to start with the 4 ball. I'm actually going to play the 4 ball into the right side pocket, and with bottom spin, I'm going to draw it back for position on the 7. Here, I played the 7 into the bottom left corner pocket, and with draw again, or bottom spin, I kind of hold position. The cue ball will kind of just drag its way towards the middle of the table as I get position for the 3 ball for the right side pocket. Now, I actually have a bit of an angle here where I can cheat the pocket, so that way I can push the cue ball forward with a little bit of topspin and get behind the 2 ball so I can shoot it into the top right corner pocket. I actually would have liked to have been off the rail a little bit more, because since I'm straight on that 2 ball, you can see how I'm going to get position on the 1 ball. All I have to do is just kind of gently roll the cue ball forward. But if I had an angle, I can actually have the cue ball come off the side rail, which would be better. As you can see, the cue ball kind of just sticks to the side rail, and now I can only use top spin on the cue ball, and I try to put some right spin on the cue ball as well. That way, when the cue ball pushes over to the side rail, it hopefully spins back out and gives me a better angle on the 6. So I've got some top right spin on this cue ball as I shoot the 1 ball into the bottom left corner pocket. And I actually think I miscued, because you see how the cue ball doesn't even spin once it hits the side rail. And now I've got this thinner cut shot on the 6 ball that I actually don't want. It's a makeable shot, but that means since I'm cutting it thinner, I have to hit it a little bit harder, which means now I can't use the 8 ball in the top left corner pocket. I'm actually going to try to play 2 rails so I can play the 8 ball in the top right corner pocket by zigzagging the cue ball, as you can see. But I hit it a little too hard and ends up right there. You're actually going to see me tap on the table where I wanted the cue ball, which was right there. But now, I think it was the previous rack. If y'all remember that draw shot that I was trying to do with that extreme cut shot, and I thought I would carom off of one of my opponent's balls to have position on the 8, that's what I'm about to do here. A very similar draw shot. I'm lining up right now to see, am I going to be able to avoid the scratch in the top right corner pocket if I thinly cut this 8 ball into the top left corner pocket? So right now it looks like I'm going to shoot it, but then I see that I can do this. So I call it in the top left corner pocket. I'm going to finesse the hell out of this shot, because if I hit this too hard, the cue ball is going to travel across the tangent line too far and I'll scratch. I want that bottom spin to take effect almost immediately. Just like that, and I'm able to avoid the scratch and take that rack down. Now going into rack 4, I have a 3-0 lead. Let's see what happens in this rack. Okay, looks like I get a lucky 2-rail bank carom off of the 1 ball, and I drop the 9 ball into the right side pocket. And as you can see, that giant clutter of my stripes actually that collects over on the left side of the table. And it doesn't really even have to be stripes, because when you do a second ball break, this is actually notorious to happen. All the balls will travel to the other side from which you're breaking from, and then they'll recollect back on the side that you're breaking. So what you saw there was I tried to shoot the 12 ball into the bottom left corner pocket. Though I was successful, I was actually trying to push the 13 ball out into the open, which that's what I failed at. So now here with a center ball hit, I'm going to play the 15-14 combination, and I'm actually trying to get position on the 10 ball there, but you can see I actually hit it too soft. And now I don't really have another shot except for the 11 ball. That's the only ball that I can still hit and actually try to do something with. So I'm going to try to cut it into the bottom right corner pocket, and with left spin on the cue ball, I try to come in between the 5 and the 7 just to see if I can get some sort of positional shot on the 15 or the 13 ball. You can see my cue ball runs into the 5 ball, and I even overcut the 11 ball and missed. So now my opponent will get a chance at his solids. And I'm not really even sure what his opening shot's going to be. So we can probably say that I got a little lucky with the positioning of the cue ball. Looks like he's coming down table maybe for the 2 ball in the lower right corner. That is what he tries, but he undercuts the ball. And then he also gets a lucky position with the cue ball, because I can't really do anything from here. I don't like the 13-15 combination from where the cue ball is at. If the cue ball was further down the table, like maybe over by the 3 ball, I might be a little bit more comfortable at trying the combination. And I don't really like the thin cut shot on the 11 that I have for the bottom right corner pocket. So I elect to play a defensive shot. I just hit the 10 ball on the left side, and I do have some left spin on this cue ball because I want to put the cue ball right next to my opponent's 5 ball. Pretty much like that. Because now I think that since the cue ball is so close to the 5 ball, my opponent's not going to shoot it because it's not frozen. He doesn't want to risk double hitting the cue ball. But look, he's looking at it. Or maybe the scoreboard might block you, but he's actually looking at it. Now it looks like he's looking at something else. I can't really tell. But then you can see here, he's about to try to do something with the 5 ball, and I'm thinking he's gonna double hit this cue ball. It's too close. But then I saw that, and I went, that must have been good, right? I mean, tell me what y'all think. Do y'all think that was a good hit? Because the reaction of the cue ball stopping like that makes me believe that it was actually a good hit and therefore a really good shot. So now from here, it looks like he's sizing up for the 3 ball to go into the bottom left corner pocket. Draws the cue ball back over to the side rail and back out. He now has position on the 2 ball. He might have been trying to get position on the 4 ball and just didn't hit it hard enough. But now where the cue ball is at, I probably would try to shoot the 2 ball into the side pocket and get position on the 4 ball. Because now that 4 ball is basically an isolated ball, and you really want to try to get rid of it so that way you can just work back up to the other half of the table where the other solids are. The same is going to go for me for my 11 ball if I get a chance at the table. I'm going to want to get rid of it so that way I can just deal with the other stripes at the other end of the table. So he shoots the 2 ball in, but now it looks like he either got position on the 6 or the 1, so I have to wonder, when is he going to come down table to deal with the 4 ball? Shoots the 1 ball into the corner pocket. He now has position for the 6, and let alone, what is he going to do with his 7 ball? Here it looks like he might be able to cut the 6 into the side pocket and maybe get position on the 4 ball, but then trying to get position from the 4 to the 7 is going to be really difficult. But now it looks like he's going to do something with the 4 ball. Maybe it's going to be a defensive shot. I can't imagine him trying something. Yeah, that has to be a defensive shot. So I come back to the table. If I want to be aggressive, I can try to bank the 11 ball to the cross-side pocket, which actually helps because it pushes the 11 ball up towards the other end of the table where my other stripes are. But that's something that I don't choose. I actually look at another defensive shot and see me standing right there. That's me contemplating the banking of the 11 ball to the left side pocket. But the defensive shot that I try to play is to slightly cut the 10 ball on the left side and have the cue ball go to the short rail and then spin behind the 15 and the 7, hooking my opponent. I have a little bit of top left spin on this cue ball. As you can see, I must have missed aimed because I hit the 10 ball straight on. Like right after I hit the 10 ball, the cue ball just also rolls forward and then gets bumped by the 10 ball after it hits the short rail. So I'm not sure if my opponent can see enough of his 7 to play it into the lower left corner pocket. It does still look like he can play the 6 ball into the right side pocket and try to get position on the 4. That looks like what he's going for. Okay, good shot on the 6, but doesn't really get position on the 4 ball. I don't think he's going to try to cut it. I mean, maybe. I can't tell if my 11 ball is enough in the way to where if he did try to cut it, will he be able to squeeze past the 11 and break out a 7 ball? Nope, he plays another defensive shot. Okay, but this time I now have a path for the 11 ball to go into the left side pocket. So that's exactly what I'm going to try to play and try to just push the cue ball forward so that way I can have position on the 10 ball. So you can see I have top spin on the cue ball there because I'm so close to the rail. And right there, I undercut the 11 ball and caught the point of the pocket. So I feel comfortable in this position because I'm still wondering, well, what is my opponent going to do with their 7 ball, right? He's got a free shot on the 4 ball. Maybe he can try to break it up, and if he's successful, he's going to be able to earn the game. If he's unsuccessful, then I might still have a chance at the table. Let's see, what is he going to do? Obviously play the 4 ball. Where is he going to place the cue ball? You can see he's got some bottom spin on the cue ball. He's coming back up table. Okay, what is he going to try here? Right, is he going to try to carom the 7 off of the 8 and go into the top left corner pocket? That is what he tries. Holy crap, that was a good shot. I'd be a little worried about moving that 8 ball the way that it did, but he's got a straight in shot to the bottom left corner pocket, so I'm looking to be in a lot of trouble here. But he didn't cut it enough. Oh my goodness. So what is that? That is, I think that's 3 separate racks that I got super lucky that my opponent was not able to finish the table. But I'm not really in a good position here either. Right? I have this long shot on the 10 ball. I can't really control the cue ball a whole lot because all I can access is the top portion of the cue ball like this. Right? So, because I don't want to dig down into it, because if I want to make sure that I'm going to make that 10 ball, then I have to also make sure that I'm going to get position on either of those 3 stripes. So I'm at this point, I'm just not comfortable taking the shot on the 10 ball, though looking back at retrospect, I probably should have done it. Instead, I elect to do an offensive and a defensive shot at the same time. And what you see me looking at here now is trying to make the 13 ball into the top left corner pocket. Because I know automatically the cue ball is going to go off to the right behind the 10 ball after it hits the short rail. So if I make the shot, I still should have some sort of shot maybe on the 10 ball, maybe even the 11 ball. But if I miss, then my opponent's going to be hooked. So you can see there, I undercut the 13 ball. I didn't get the shot, and there's my defensive shot to go along with it. Now, you could probably argue that maybe I just got lucky, but I'm playing 2 shots at the same time. So had I made the shot and I don't have a shot here, then I'm definitely going to be playing some sort of defensive shot. Like maybe I would push the 10 ball to a rail and get the cue ball to hide behind the 15 and 11, or maybe I can shoot the 15 ball and hide the cue ball behind the 11. Like those would be all my backup plans here. But at least from this position here, my opponent has to kick at the 8 ball. Make a legal hit, no less, so that way I don't get ball in hand. And seeing how that my 13 ball is blocking the top left corner pocket, yeah, he has to try to call it into the left side pocket. So we're going to see him kick down table, 1 rail off the short rail, and try to cut the 8 ball into the left side pocket. Makes a good hit. Almost makes the 8 ball in the wrong pocket, but my opponent scratches. Oh no, that is not the way you really want to be able to lose a rack. But now I'm on the hill. All right, 4 racks down, 3 of which I can say that I got lucky on. But let's see if I can finish this off. Ah, and I scratch on the break. So I'm at least thankful that I didn't make the 8 ball on the break that time, because then that would be a loss of game. Now my opponent's going to have ball in hand, but he can only place the cue ball behind the head string and shoot past the head string. After the break, anytime you make a foul, it's cue ball in hand anywhere on the table. Or at least that's how it's done in the APA league. Okay, it looks like my opponent likes solids. He looks pretty lined up here for the 2 ball to go into the upper right corner pocket. Oh, but he hits it too straight and misses. So I actually like my opponent's decision of choosing solids. So I'm going to take solids. And I'm going to start by shooting the 4 ball into the top left corner pocket. And with some bottom left spin on the cue ball, I'm going to try to gently open up the clutter where the 8 ball and the 3 and the 5 are. So not so much of a breakout, but I do have a shot at the 3 ball to go into the upper left corner pocket. And with top spin on the cue ball, I can actually just push the cue ball right into the 5 ball to try to push it out into the open. So kind of like that, except I did not want the 5 ball tying up next to the 6 ball. That's why you see me kind of just wave my cue across the table like that. So I'm definitely going to have to try to deal with the 5 and the 6 at some point, let alone the 8 ball being tied up next to all those stripes. So what I like to do here, though, is I'm going to try to bank the 7 ball back to the top right corner pocket and withdraw on the cue ball or bottom spin. I just try to hold position for the cue ball down here for position on the 1 ball. So just like that, I was fortunate enough to be able to run into the 1 ball and have this type of position here. But now what am I going to do with that 5 and 6? That's what I'm thinking about. Because clearly I could shoot the 1 ball into the bottom left corner pocket. And I'm going to have to use the 2 ball in some way to make the 2 ball and then try to break out the 5 and 6. So with left spin on the cue ball, I send the cue ball 2 rails to try to get position for the 2 ball to go into the side pocket. Kind of like this. But I wish I was a little bit further up, like in between the 2 and the 10, because now I'm going to try to cut the 2 ball into the right side pocket, and with some bottom spin and a little bit of left spin, try to come around to break out the 5 and 6. But you saw the 2 ball barely even moves. That's how thin I actually hit it, and I didn't hit it hard enough. Let alone, I didn't really even break out my 5 and 6. They're a little bit more lined up now, so maybe I can play a combination, either a 6-5 to the top left or a 5-6 to the top right. Well, let's see what my opponent does. He takes the 12 ball out into the top left corner pocket. Looks like he has position maybe for the 10 ball, or is he looking at the 13? He's looking at the 13. He must be trying to play it off of the 14 ball into the side pocket. Oh, but he doesn't cut it enough. He actually hits the short rail. So now I'm back at the table, and it looks like I could probably shoot the 2 ball maybe into the side pocket past the 13 ball, but I have my attention on the 5 and the 6. And then right there, I'm checking to see what I can do with that 8 ball. Can the 8 ball cleanly go into the side pocket, or do I have to try to carom it maybe off of the 9 ball, or is there enough space to pass the 9 ball, which I don't think there is, and maybe I can carom it off the 11? Or do I have to break it out somehow? So here it looks like I'm going to try to do the 5-6 combination to the top right corner pocket. I do believe I have left spin on the cue ball because I do think I'm going to try to break out the 8 ball. And I'm not even successful. Or I get a little lucky, but let alone I'm hooked. Right? I can't see the 5 ball. I can't see the 2 ball. The 8 ball now has a free path to the top left corner pocket, but I got to make a kick shot here. So which ball are y'all kicking at? Are y'all kicking at the 2 ball, or are y'all kicking at the 5 ball? Because if you can see by the way I'm measuring here, I'm thinking about kicking at the 5 ball. I kind of feel like if I'm successful at kicking at the 5 ball into the top right corner pocket, the cue ball will come closer to where I'm actually hovering over the table, and I'll have some sort of cut shot for the 2 ball to the right side pocket. At least that's what I was thinking, but it doesn't matter. I missed the ball altogether and give my opponent ball in hand. So, what's everybody's pattern from here? Like, how would you try to run this table? You can already see that my opponent's going to try to start with the 10 ball. More than likely, he'll just push the cue ball forward. And he's got a plethora of choices after that. I mean, he's got the 11 in the side. He's got the 13 in the side. He's got the 15 ball. I think personally, I'm looking at the 11 in the side pocket, the left side pocket. That way I can shoot the 9 ball next. All right, we're on the same page here. Okay, gets an angle behind the cue ball. That's actually okay because now he can either push up towards the short rail or just draw back more towards the end of the middle of the table. And that's what he's doing. He's drawing the cue ball. So this is looking good here. 13 ball into the side pocket. Automatic position for the 14 ball. I think I probably would have hit that a little harder. I'd rather cut the 14 ball into the bottom right corner pocket that he's going to shoot into, but then have the cue ball go to the side rail and back out for position on the 15. Not try to do this. Right? I have to think that he just didn't hit it hard enough. There's no reason to try to hit it so soft to try to hold position for the 15 ball. With the angle that he has or had, he wanted to hit the side rail and then come back to get position on the 15 ball. But if he was shooting the other way like I had described, that was almost a good attempt. The cue ball would go into the right side rail and then just dribble back towards the middle of the table and he would have position. Now I'm back at the table, and as you can see, the only ball that I can shoot at is the 2 ball into the top right corner pocket, so that is what I'm going to try. I think I have some top spin, and I think I have a touch of left spin on the cue ball, so that way when I hit the side rail, I can hopefully come over for position on the 5 ball. And I believe I was trying to get position for the 5 ball to go into the same pocket. Or maybe I'm trying to run into it. No, it would be for the same pocket. That's at least what I was trying. Because I have the position. I can cut the 5 ball now into the same top right corner pocket. I just missed. So my opponent's going to get another chance to try to steal this rack from me. Can't really tell what he can do here. It doesn't look like his ball passes by my 5 ball. He might have to try to bank this to the top left corner pocket, maybe. That'll at least get him positioned for the 8 ball to go into the same pocket. Like, I think that's a valid shot. Is that what he's trying? No, he tries to go to the side pocket instead. So that might have been an okay alternative. I just think that since he's coming near my last 2 solids, he runs a risk of like getting hooked like this had he made the shot. Versus coming down the other way, you just have the entire bottom half of the table. Now from here, I'm going for my 3rd bank shot. I'm going to try to bank the 5 ball into the top left corner pocket. And I do want to try to flare the cue ball all the way back around to be able to shoot the 2 ball in the same pocket. So I have some right spin, and I think it's just maybe just a little bit of bottom spin. So here comes the cue ball, but I didn't hit it hard enough. Right, so if you look and see where the 15 ball is with the 8 ball, that's why I like to do a safety here instead of trying to do another bank shot. I'm already 3 for 3 on my banks, right? So the banks were on. But instead here, I'm just going to cut the 2 ball closer towards the corner pocket, and with bottom right spin, I'm going to send the cue ball 2 rails, short rail, long rail, and have it come back down towards where I'm standing. Get a 3rd rail, and just shy of a 4th rail. Now my opponent can see the ball, which is all well and good, but what can he do with it? You know, does he get lucky and maybe tries to cut cross bank it to the top right corner pocket? Or we can call it skill, like if that's what he's actually trying to do. But this is a pretty good position for me. Let's see what he does. Well, he at least gets a legal hit. But it looks like he leaves me out. I have the 2 ball into the top left corner pocket. I can kind of just roll the cue ball up towards the short rail and shoot the 8 ball into the left side pocket. So I think here I just hit this with a little bit of top spin. That way the cue ball is automatically rolling right after contacting it. No side spin. I just want to get the cue ball over to the short rail and have it just bump back off, kind of like this, and then just shoot the 8-ball into the left side pocket. I even put a little bit of bottom spin there. And I take that rack down 5-0, scoring 3 points for my team. And that's going to do it for today's video. A bit of a long-winded match, winning 5-0 in 14 innings with a couple of unforced errors and quite a few safeties, but that's the way it goes sometimes. I think it's fair to say that the match would have been closer had my opponent not given me those 3 racks. Now, as I like to do with these types of videos, if you feel like there's some type of advice that you'd like to give me or my opponent, like a different way to shoot a shot or maybe a different run out pattern, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below with the timestamp of the shot and the advice that you'd like to give. And if you like what you saw, then give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Take care, everybody.